Good morning, everybody. I'm almost awake. Anyway, so put your hands in a hop jog. I want to start this with a bit of a reading, just a short thing. And this, monks, is the noble truth of the origination of stress, the craving that makes for further becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now here and now there. In other words, craving for sensual pleasure, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. And this, monks, is the noble truth of the cessation of stress, the remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving. And so ends the reading. So that's the human predicament, basically, right there. you know, really. So people, what are you going to do, right? People. You you think, well, a lot of us, we speak, we act, we think in ways to sort of maintain social acceptance, maintain the a social contract in a sense amongst each other. You know, we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to make it seem like we're just Pollyanna either. We're in this club together in a sense, and we speak in such a way as we let others know that we're part of this group. It could be something like a clique at work or a profession. You're in this profession, you act and speak and behave in such a way that you let others know that you're part of this group. And we are, in a sense, letting people know that we know where these boundaries are, where the boundaries are. And one of the most profound things that we can show to others, to show that we have this basic common group understanding of just how things really are with this group. Sometimes we'll share just how jaded we are, just how we're so beyond all the tedium that we must endure in order to stay a part of this group. And we share how much we just can't stand this place. I just can't take it anymore. Whether you can or not, maybe it's in our training as clergy, we call it idle chatter too. It's not much above talking about the weather. So, and with this in mind, like I said before, what are you going to do? We look for validation that we are all part of this community and we're all part of this same rat race, as they so put it. Someone might say to you, hey, how are you? What's the common response? Fine, that sort of thing, right? Or if it's another group, and you probably all have been in one of these, hey, how's it going? And you say, oh, same shit, different day, as though that's cool. That's like the coolest thing that you could say, Or the other more, uh, the other term or phrase that a lot of people use is just living the dream. There was a security guard when I worked in the hospital, and 12 and Hoover there. We'd ask him, "Hey Joe, how's it going?" Just living the dream. It was like, okay, like 6'5" guy with, just anyway. So, what's another one that we'd often say? If you really want to share how much it is that you kind of have had it with this situation, not that you're going to leave or anything, but you're just kind of you're so in the know that you express that you want to tell people that this place is really burning me out. Yeah, oh, that could be one. Sometimes we say this, what? I just don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here today, right? Right. That exact phrase came up one night. I was working a night shift in the ICU, and this nurse, she was working there, and she was typing away on the computer, and she says, "I just don't want to be here." I said, "Well, maybe you'd want to sit over in this chair. It's a pretty nice chair. It's like you might like it over here better." And she didn't think that was funny. So, but seriously, it saddened me though that to know that there's people in this world that are spending their precious time day in, day out sometimes in circumstances that they think are just so uncomfortable that they just can't take it. You know, you know, they're they want this day to be over. Is I can't wait for this day to be over. The time's going by so slow. You know, but do you really want time to go by fast, 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 fast? Do you really want the time to be over before you know it? Do you really want this day to all of a sudden be tomorrow and you've just forgot about yesterday? You didn't, I'd rather not even think about yesterday. In other words, your being in today was like, didn't happen. you know, you know, if you think about it, that's a sad thing to ponder that, you're born, you do this, you do that. When you're a child, you're not waiting for this day to be over. You don't play, in the playground and go, I can't believe this is taking forever, man. you know, this recess is just going on and on and on. We don't do that, do we? No. So we're in this constant state of craving. You know, 1 second we're immersed in liking and relishing what's going on. We really enjoy this. We want what we have. We want what we're doing. We want the state that we're in. The next second, literally second, it could be, we want something else. We don't want this. As a matter of fact, I remember I want tonight to come. We were going to go out to the movies. I can't wait. You know, this craving comes in the form of aversion. I don't want that. Get it away from me. Avoidance. I want to, stay away from this or that. I want to not have it. I reject it. Or it could be to not want, the craving of not wanting, of non-becoming. There was a trip that Heido Sunim and I and a few others, we went on a trip to Korea just before I got ordained, and had some just incredible experiences in a short few days, in my estimation, with some monks and teachers in South Korea. One of them was a female Sunim, nun, if you will, I guess. Her name was Yujing Sunim, and she was part of Waon Sa, which is Kun Sunims, our grand patriarch here, that is uh, her a Dharma sister to him. He'd known her since he was a younger monk. When we first got there, we were in a room, or one of the sleeping rooms, and there were three monks talking amongst themselves in Korean. The gist I got of it was, what are we going to do with these people? you know, now that they're here, what do we, and Yujing Sunim came in and she was talking amongst them. And one thing she did that I thought was really profound. They were all standing, kind of not arguing, but a lot of animated speech. Okay. And everybody sat down and started to communicate, and just put together a plan, basically. I think the plan ended up being, I'll take over, in a way, because she was kind of led us here and there. during our short stay there. And I thought that was just an amazing thing. So we don't want time to just fly by, do we? There's this short book that I have. I don't have it with me here today. It's called Zen Graffiti. If you can look it up, it's kind of neat. Some just short little sayings that are very, very profound to me. One of them is this: try not to live as if time is a reality that can steal away your life. And then below that it says, time is Mara's realm, not the Buddha's. And I thought, one thing to think that to live in such a way that you don't buy into the idea that time is a commodity, and it's something that if you don't have enough of, you're more poor than to think of it in that fashion is even probably an error, right? But to think of it as something that is just there. It's not something that, oh, I don't have enough time. I'm going to be 70 next year, and then it's 80 in 10 years. And oh no, you're just busy with this concept of time that's always, in a way, chipping away at your experience of day-to-day life. Okay? This moment is, is it. This is your one precious life that you have right now. Anybody heard of Krishnamurti? People have heard of Krishnamurti, right? This is probably the only quote that I know from him, but it really affected me. And I think it was in answer to, like, what's the secret? And he said, I don't mind what happens. That is the essence of inner freedom. It is a timeless spiritual truth. Release attachment to outcomes deep inside yourself. You'll feel good no matter what. Okay. So think about, remember I talked a little bit about childhood and how you're getting engrossed in your play. When I was younger, did a lot of play by myself. I would get my toys, whatever they might be, and oftentimes I'd take them apart. Unfortunately, I couldn't put them back together a lot of times, but I'd take them apart just to see what was inside and how things, supposedly worked, but they're made out of plastic and you got to break the plastic, so. And anyway, I did a lot of that. And another thing that I did was if you gave me a ball of twine or string or something that was all tangled up, you could put me away for an hour and I'd just be over there taking that thing apart and engrossing in it. And just the other day, something like that happened. I got a delivery from Timu. But it was some, not drill bits, but screwdriver, socket sets, things like that, things to put in the end of your drill so that you can unscrew and such. And part of it was perfectly intact. The under part of it, I could hear when I shook the box, everything was just in pieces, and it was a lot of pieces. And I opened it up, and I just immediately went to work. Started putting, this piece is like, N64 goes over here. Where is N64? Oh, there's two N64. I was like, then you put it over here, And so I did that, and I thought, this reminds me of me. So, we could easily be immersed in hours and hours of play and not be put off by it. And as a matter of fact, after you get out of that state of play, oftentimes you'll think, wow, man, there's still like a whole afternoon left. Well, how did that happen? I thought it had been 2 hours. You think like that much time had passed by. So this present life, as I said, is really just so precious. Having an awareness of this present moment by moment life is precious in and of itself. And I think, if you aren't amazed at times, just to stand on the corner and waiting to cross the street, and cars are going by, people are going by, the wind is blowing, the clouds are going by, it's sunny. There you can see off in the distance, there's a set of clouds. Maybe it's going to be raining over here. Um, there's trash. There's people picking up trash. There's people making trash. And you just look, this is amazing. All of this is happening, you know, and it's just a common thing. Case in point. When I remember living in Boston for a short time, there was some off the wall channel on public TV there. I guess it must have been like community TV or something like that. And this might have had to do with certain marijuana. But anyway, um, this one show that this had, it was a piece of paper, and this person had filmed this paper rolling down the street, and like didn't let it go for minutes and minutes and minutes of rolling down. And in its own way, it had its own little drama, getting stuck. Oh no, breaking free. Yes, and so on. Just simple things can take you away. But this is meditation. This ability to deeply concentrate, to find yourself in a place of non-attachment and non-aversion. You know, I don't think a total outcome of the Eightfold Path, to become liberated, isn't necessarily to be, oh, I'm so free, I'm so unattached. That's one of it, but also to not have any aversion either. You know, you're right in that middle zone. You're right in that sacred um, 0 point, the still point. You're not here, you're not there. It's not just as simple as not indulging too much in things and not wanting to abstain too much. That might be part of it, but it's more. It's finding yourself naturally in that state. What I want to end with is this poem. Some of you have heard this one before, but it's a Mary Oliver poem. And it kind of describes what I was talking about today here. It's called The Summer Day. And so she says this, she writes, "Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face, and now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is, but I do know how to pay attention. How to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, I choke up sometimes. But anyway, tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with this one wild and precious life?